problems down the road. Always has, anyway.
And I think we're doing all three right now. As a matter of fact, we're doing all three of
No,
those.
I know we are, and it scares me to death. What's equally terrifying is that the people who got us into this problem are the people that they're now saying, okay, you solved the problem. I mean, Geithner and Bernanke and Summers, these are the guys who caused the problem.
Yeah.
And yet somehow or another, Mr. Obama just obviously doesn't know what he's doing. The idea is you take the people who caused the problem and who didn't understand that they were causing a problem, and then say, now you fix it, is mind-boggling.
What's interesting is about Larry Summers. He seems to be the only one that talks at all about anything even remotely negative about the economy and the future. Everybody else is talking about a peachy green and a great story. Where Larry Summers, I don't know what the differential is there. Talking about very limited growth potential, very slow recovery, very really trying to keep down expectations. I find that really interesting.
Well, that's because he's a politician now. They all know that if you don't build expectations, then things come in better than you thought. Then people say, "Oh, gosh, things are okay.
Yeah.
Things are better." They're trying to manage expectations. This is an old political trick that's been going on that politicians learned long ago.
Yeah. So one of the things I heard you talk about was the dollar and the dollar sliding and the potential for, I think you were talking a little bit tongue-in-cheek here, but the Dow to go to 40,000, and then, of course, Dow is not worth anything because the dollar is not worth anything. Do you believe that the dollar is, I've talked to a lot of people, the dollar is going to be just obliterated long-term?
Well, you look back at history. Again, this is not any kind of political statement. It's just look at what's happened throughout history. Whenever a country's gotten itself into this kind of situation, it's always caused huge problems in the currency. The pound sterling went down over 90% from its top to bottom. That's over a long period of time, but still, it's down a great deal. It's happened to the Spanish peseta, which was a great currency once for the world. The Dutch guilder, all these currencies have lost huge amounts of their worth, and that's going to happen with the U.S. dollar as well. Now, if that happens, of course, the prices of everything will go through the roof. Why can't the Dow Jones go to 40,000? I'm not suggesting it's going to happen anytime soon. Right. It wasn't tongue-in-cheek so much, just saying, guys, if and when this does happen, the prices of all stocks will go through the roof, but it will be in worthless currency.
Yeah, we saw that with Zimbabwe. Let me finish up with this discussion. I know you have. I think recently you talked about natural gas being possibly a good play, but in terms of commodities, because this is something that you really know about. What are we looking like on the side of commodities? Is oil potentially going back up to some ridiculous number? And I have my reservations about that, but, okay, this cap and trade issue, I don't even know where they come up with this ridiculous notion that they can, really put the screws to companies like they're going to do with this. But nonetheless, all the commodities out there, where's the real play here?
Well, if I knew the answer to that, I'd be rich. We all would be rich. I wish it was that simple. As far as I'm concerned, all commodities are the place to be. The fundamentals of most of the world economy are not getting better, as we've discussed already, but the fundamentals for commodities are improving. Many farmers cannot get loans for fertilizer right now. Nobody can get a loan to open a mine. So you have the supply of nearly all commodities continuing to decline at a time when governments around the world are printing huge amounts of money. So whether the economy gets better or not, I'd rather be in commodities than anything else. Which ones are best? I have no idea. I'm the world's worst market timer. I own them all.
Right.
I bought more agricultural recently. I'm keen on agriculture because the inventories are so unbelievably low and the prices are so low on a historic basis. Natural gas, I'd rather own than oil, but I own them both just because natural gas is down so much on a historic basis. The world's known reserves of oil are declining. There may be huge amounts of oil out there somewhere, but we don't know where it is. If it's there, and if you know, you should tell us so we can invest in it too.
Yeah.
But there's no question that at present rates of consumption, the world won't have any oil in 25 years, say. Any oil at any price, unless something happens very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd rather be in commodities than anything.
Right. And even with, you talk about the agricultures, wheat we've seen a ridiculous supply of lately, but you're saying still, comparatively, it's not that bad off most of these commodities, and the prices are good. What about, these we're seeing conversations with these potash. Is that in that whole genre as well?
Well, with potash, yes, that's certainly a commodity. There's no futures market or anything. It's
right.
used for fertilizer.
Right,
yes.
Right.
And if the price of agricultural products goes higher, then obviously somebody's going to make a lot of money with fertilizer if the farmers can afford it.
Right.
The problem is they can't afford it now.
Right.
So there might be a transition. I'm not really current on potash, so I don't know. You say that there's a lot of supply of agricultural reasons. Well, maybe in the U.S., but not in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, the inventories of agricultural products are the lowest they've been in decades. So you may have some oversupply here and some oversupply there.
Right.
But worldwide, and that's ultimately what determines the price of anything, the supplies are dangerously low, and if we start having weather problems, prices can just go to unbelievable levels.
Yep. So let me close with this. I know you've written a lot of different books, but the latest book that you wrote was much different than the other ones that you've written, I believe. It was a book, the title was For My Children, I think it was. Tell me,
Gift to My Children.
Gift to My Children. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I've had a few failures in my life and a few successes in my life, so I thought, well, I got two little children. I came to parenthood late. I didn't have a child until I was 60 years old. I was always very skeptical. In fact, I was anti-children.
Evil.
I used to feel sorry for people. I felt sorry for people that had children.
I understand.
First of all, I want you to know I was totally, unbelievably wrong about it.
Right, yeah. Admit this, right? Once you had the kid, your entire life changed in a blink of an eye, didn't it?
It did, but people used to say that. I said, you poor sap. I thought they had changed it for the worse.
Right.
I didn't know they had changed it for the better, for goodness sake.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So no, it certainly changed everything completely, and it's been a joy every day for the past 6 years. And so I figured I better start writing some of these things down for my children because I learned a lot, and I wanted them to understand a lot about, as I say, from my experience, my failures, my successes, to help them. And the next thing you know, I had a book.
Wow.
And I'm sure I'll continue to expand the book as well. Just a short little thing. You can read it in no time. As I say, it's some of my failures, some of my successes and excesses. And I wish people had told me some of these things long ago.
Yeah, well, and then eventually you're going to have the next set of beautiful grandchildren. You can write a book like For My Grandchildren, a gift to my grandchildren.
I hope it goes to all of them. The book is written, hopefully, so that they can give it to their grandchildren and their grandchildren. The lessons in this book are eternal, at least I suspect they are. Most of them are.
Well, we'll put a link on that. Jim Rogers, I really appreciate you taking some time this morning / this evening to spend time with us here on the Disciplined Investor Podcast. I encourage all my listeners to check out your books and to spend some time getting to know you more. I really thank you for all that you've done over the years to help people understand more about investments and the economies, commodities, and everything that you do. It's really very much appreciated by all of us around here.
Great.